Have you ever experienced the feeling that someone is constantly on your mind, even though they're not talking to you or reaching out? It's not just a passing thought. It's more than just an occasional moment. It feels like an invisible pull and unexplainable connection that keeps drawing you back to them. What's going on here? How can someone be on your mind so much without even saying a word to you? Here's the truth: the mind communicates in ways that go beyond the physical. It goes beyond what you see and hear. In fact, the most powerful connections aren't always based on what's spoken. They're based on what's felt, experienced, and understood without a single word. So if he's always on your mind, even when he's not talking, there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. And today I'm going to show you exactly what those mind signals are and why they hold the key to understanding your connection with him. Have you ever found yourself thinking about someone even when you haven't talked to them in days, weeks, or even months? It's as if they're always there, lingering in your thoughts. But how? How is this even possible when no words are exchanged? This is because emotions are energy, and energy never dies. It's transmitted, it's felt, it's absorbed. We often think of communication as words and actions, but true communication is energetic. When two people are emotionally connected, they don't need words to communicate. So when someone is on your mind constantly, it's not just a coincidence. It's the result of an energetic bond that exists even in silence. And here's the kicker: subconscious minds are incredibly powerful. We pick up on signals, energy, and emotions without even realizing it. If someone is on your mind, it's because on some level, their energy is being transmitted to you, whether through thoughts, emotions, or the unspoken connection between you two. This energy isn't limited by physical distance. This energy isn't restricted by time. When you've made an emotional connection with someone, you'll feel even in the absence of words. Let's dive deeper into why someone can dominate your thoughts without even trying. It's easy to think that we control our thoughts after all. We're the ones who are always in control of our minds, right? But the truth is, our minds are constantly influenced by deeper, unseen forces. Forces that affect how we think, feel, and act, often without us even realizing it. When someone is constantly on your mind, even though they haven't said a word or engaged with you, it's because there's a psychological connection at play, a force that binds your mind to theirs. And it's not random. The human brain is designed to form deep emotional attachments to people who have a significant impact on our lives, whether they are close friends, family, or romantic interests. When this connection is established, the brain continues to work even when they're not around. Think about the last time you experienced intense emotions tied to someone, whether it was happiness, excitement, fear, or even hurt. Those emotions don't just disappear once the moment is over. Instead, your brain holds on to that emotional experience and replays it over and over again, especially when it feels unresolved. This is why you can't stop thinking about someone who has impacted you deeply. Their energy, their presence, their emotional influence doesn't just fade when they leave the room, it lingers. The power of emotional attachment. You see, human beings are wired for emotional attachment. From the moment we're born, we start creating bonds with those around us. This is how we form our most important relationships and how we come to trust others. When you form a meaningful connection with someone, your brain starts to release certain chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, which are often referred to as the feel-good chemicals. These chemicals bond you to that person and make you feel connected, happy, and at ease in their presence. So when they're not physically around, your brain will continue to search for that connection and seek that dopamine boost. It does this by keeping them in your thoughts. Every time you think about them, your brain is replaying the emotional connection you built and craving the feelings that are tied to them. This doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. It happens in friendships, familial bonds, and even professional relationships when the emotional attachment is strong. But this emotional attachment isn't just based on positive experiences. Even if the relationship was strained, complicated, or even painful, the brain will still hold on to the emotional connection and bring that person back into your thoughts. This is why breakups or disagreements can leave someone constantly on your mind, even when you haven't had any contact with them. The subconscious brain, why you're not aware of it. Now, let's get a little deeper. Why does this all happen subconsciously? Your brain has two main parts: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is what you use when you're awake, alert, and making decisions. It's the part of you that chooses your actions, your thoughts, and your responses. But the subconscious mind is where your deepest memories, emotions, and connections are stored. It is working 24/7, even when you're not aware of it. When you form a connection with someone, Your subconscious mind takes note of every little detail, how they make you feel, the memories you share, and the emotional highs and lows. It doesn't forget these things, even when your conscious mind is distracted by the day-to-day grind. Your subconscious mind doesn't need to be triggered for you to think about that person. It simply pulls their emotional imprint out of storage and brings it to the surface. This is why you could be going about your day, doing something completely unrelated, and suddenly think of them out of nowhere. The subconscious mind operates on patterns. It's always looking for patterns in the people we meet, the things we do, and the way we interact with the world. So when you form an emotional attachment, your brain creates a pattern that keeps them in your mind. Why absence makes the connection stronger? Now let's take it a step further. Why is it that absence seems to make the connection stronger? Here's where things get interesting. Absence doesn't just mean physical distance, it also refers to emotional distance. When someone is absent from your life, whether physically or emotionally, your brain still holds on to that connection. In fact, absence magnifies the emotional pull because the brain is constantly looking for that missing emotional feedback. You're subconsciously trying to resolve the void. This is why people who you haven't seen or spoken to in a while can suddenly pop into your mind without warning. Your brain isn't letting go because it hasn't resolved the emotional experience it tied to that person. Absence causes the emotional connection to intensify, especially if you've shared a meaningful or impactful experience. This is why, during times of emotional withdrawal or silence, people seem to stick to your mind the most. They've left an imprint that won't go away until it's emotionally resolved. Emotional receptivity, how your brain responds to emotional cues. Finally, let's touch on the brain's emotional receptivity. It's another reason why you're constantly thinking about someone, even without them communicating with you. Human brains are highly attuned to emotional cues, even the most subtle ones. Imagine this. You've experienced a moment with someone, whether it's a glance, a brief encounter, or even just a shared emotion. Your subconscious mind picks up on these emotional cues and files them away for later. Even if this person isn't around, your brain is constantly revisiting these emotions, triggering the same feelings you had when they were near. It's like you've created an emotional bookmark that keeps pulling you back to them, even without their direct involvement. So when you keep thinking about them, when their image pops into your mind, what's really happening is that your brain is simply replaying those emotional experiences and cues over and over again until it gets a clear resolution. Conclusion, understanding the mind signals. In conclusion, if he's always on your mind, even when he's not talking to you, don't brush it off as a passing thought or coincidence. This is a deep psychological and emotional connection that's at play. Your mind is processing the bond that has been formed, whether it's conscious or subconscious, and it continues to draw them into your thoughts because the connection hasn't been resolved or fully understood yet. The beauty of the human mind lies in its ability to form these lasting emotional imprints, creating bonds that go beyond words, distance, and time. So, next time you find yourself constantly thinking about someone, understand that your brain is simply processing the energy and emotional connection you share, whether that person is present or not. Let's talk about attraction for a moment. There's a certain kind of magnetic pull between two people that transcends words, touch, or even actions. It's something that's felt, something deeper than just physical attraction. It's the kind of chemistry that's hard to explain but undeniable. This magnetic pull happens on an energetic level. You can feel it when someone has that special aura around them. Something about them just draws you in even when they're not physically present. When you can't stop thinking about someone, even without them communicating with you, it's likely because you share an intense, unspoken attraction. This isn't always about romantic attraction, although it can be. It's a bond that's formed through unseen forces, whether it's emotional, intellectual, or even spiritual. You don't need words to understand each other. You don't need constant contact to feel connected. You don't need anything tangible to know that there's something powerful between you two. That's the magnetic pull that keeps someone on your mind without saying a word. Your subconscious mind is picking up on their energy, emotions, and presence and using that as a constant thread that keeps drawing you back. Silence can often speak louder than words. Think about it. When someone remains silent, it doesn't necessarily mean they're uninterested or detached. In fact, silence can be one of the most powerful tools in communication. Why? Because silence allows for a deeper level of understanding that words cannot convey. It lets the emotions, energy, and presence of a person do the talking. When someone is constantly on your mind, even though they're not speaking to you, it may be because their silence is communicating something more powerful than words ever could. Sometimes silence creates a deeper emotional bond because you begin to interpret it differently. You might be trying to read between the lines to figure out what they're thinking, or even feel like their silence is a way of drawing you closer. This is the unspoken language that keeps two people connected in ways that are invisible to the outside world. It's funny how sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? When he's not around, when he's not talking to you, it's as if his absence amplifies your thoughts of him. His silence pulls you in even more. This happens because of the emotional magnet that's between you two. When two people have a deep emotional connection, their absence doesn't weaken the bond, it strengthens it. In the absence of communication, your mind begins to fill in the gaps. It starts to remember the connection, the moments you shared, and the energy you felt when you were together. The mind naturally draws people back into your thoughts when you have that emotional pull. And this is why, even without communication, the connection feels stronger than ever. So don't underestimate the power of his absent sights doing something that words can't. It's reminding you of the bond you share. If he's always on your mind, even when he's not talking, trust that there's something real happening on a deeper level. Whether it's an emotional connection, a magnetic pull, or an energetic bond, your mind and body are telling you something. So next time you can't stop thinking about him, don't push those thoughts away. Instead, embrace them and understand that your mind is simply picking up on the signals. Silence doesn't always mean distance. Absence doesn't always mean absence. And most importantly, your mind knows more than you think. Trust the signals, trust your intuition, and most of all, trust the connection, whether it's spoken or not. If you felt the invisible force drawing you towards someone, embrace it. Subscribe to this channel to unlock more insights into the power of connection. Like this video, if you've ever felt the pull of someone's energy without them saying a word. Comment, I feel the connection, if you're ready to trust the signals your mind is sending you. Because when you understand the power of unspoken connections, you can create deeper, more meaningful relationships. Now, go embrace the silence and let your mind guide you.